Hi, I'm Sophie and my pronouns are they, them. My talk is called Outside the Spectrum, How Gender Norms Affect Non-Binary People. This talk has content warnings for mentions of misogyny and sexual assault, so if you're not comfortable with that, I'll just give you a second to click off. Some people who don't quite understand non-binary identities think that we are just confusing gender and gender roles. Don't get me wrong. If you dislike children and you have short hair and you don't wear makeup and you are great at repairing cars, you can still be a woman. If you are emotional and wear dresses and paint your nails and want to be a stay-at-home parent, you can still be a man. But being non-binary is not the same as simply rejecting gender norms. Being non-binary means rejecting gender. Now, what is gender? I think gender is one of these strange concepts that actually make less sense and become more complex the more you think about them. So I'm afraid I don't really have a simple answer for you. I think gender means something different for everyone. Most people have a strong internal sense of gender. They might not even be aware of it because they never have to think about it. But somehow they know that they are a woman or they know that they are a man. Some of these people were assigned that gender at birth, others weren't. Some are aware of it from a very young age, others take a bit longer. But for all of these people, their gender is something that they are certain about as they are about their age or about their number of toes. They don't even question it. If someone told them they were a different gender, they might be hurt by it. But they know that person would be wrong because they wouldn't let others tell them that they are actually 22 or that they actually have 11 toes. But I don't know that I am a woman. I know that others have told me all my life that I am a woman. I know that even now, a lot of people tell me that I am a woman, and even if they don't, they often imply that they see me as one. But does any of that make me a woman? Who even gets to decide what my gender is? Some people say it is the doctor who helped deliver me. Now, that doctor might have been able to determine my sex. I mean, considering how many intersex people don't realize they are intersex or don't find it out until later in life, maybe not even that. But in my case, that doctor was right. My sex is female. I don't really understand why that's anyone's business, but I don't mind admitting it. I'm not denying it. However, my parents weren't just told that I was female. My parents were told that I was a girl and that I would grow up to be a woman. But if we have established that gender is something internal, how would that doctor have known? How would anyone have known? All I was doing at that point was screaming and crying. But apparently my gender had already been determined. When I was maybe about 13 years old, I was standing at a bus stop minding my own business when two boys approached me. They were maybe a few years older than me, but at that point, 15-year-old boys were about the most intimidating thing I could imagine. They didn't know me. They just approached me to ask me if I was trans. I was a bit of a tomboy back then, so that's probably why they had that conclusion, but it doesn't really matter. I remember that I said no. I remember being very scared, and I remember that I felt horrible about myself. But there's a reason that I'm telling you this story. If someone asked you if you were trans, and then didn't believe you when you said no, would that change your gender? Could someone else's words alone ever make you trans? No, you probably don't think so. So, how could someone else's words, whether they're a doctor's or a stranger's or society's, ever make me cisgender? So we've established that being non-binary is about much more than just gender roles. It's about a very core part of our identity. Yet we don't live in a vacuum. it doesn't mean that non-binary people are unaffected by gender roles. I was lucky enough to be raised in a relatively gender-neutral environment. I played with dolls and Legos and toy cars, although my favorite was always my wooden train set. But I was still dressed in pink, and I wore dresses, and I was told to pay attention and learn how to cook because no man will want you if you don't. I can't speak for all non-binary people's experiences, but as someone who was raised as a girl, I have experienced sexism and I have experienced misogyny. I have experienced sexual assault. I have been objectified and used and belittled. Realizing I am non-binary has not changed any of that. It has not erased my trauma. It has not given me a clean slate to experience the world as someone who actually is not even a woman. Cis-assuming privilege is the privilege you get when someone thinks you are cisgender. As a non-binary person who doesn't really care about looking androgynous, I experience it a lot. It is a double-edged sword. It means that people will default to she, her, which gives me this icky feeling in my core that makes me want to crawl out of my skin. But it also means that I'm mostly safe from transphobes. I am, however, not safe from misogynists. Someone treating me like a woman doesn't always just mean calling me she. It can mean that they take my words as less than a man's. It can mean that they call me too emotional. It can mean that they don't respect my no. I may not be a woman, but a lot of the time I experience the world as one. And man, does it suck. Gender roles hurt women. They tell them to fit into a box that is labeled caring and gentle and modest. Gender roles hurt men. They tell them to fit into a box that is labeled tough and assertive and independent. Gender roles hurt non-binary people. They tell them to fit into a box. Thank you.